We've lost all radar and phone communication, so we have no wind over right now.
I literally got into the parking lot to park. They told me that my flight had been canceled. So
Hopefully that they can rebook us and get us to Miami before 12 tomorrow, because if they can't, then we lose our cruise.
We've lost all.
Flights are slowly resuming after an equipment outage severely disrupted one of the nation's busiest airports. More than 1,800 flights were delayed and hundreds more canceled at Dallas, Fort Worth, and Dallas Love Field airports yesterday. The Federal Aviation Administration says a telephone outage that does not involve FAA equipment caused air traffic controllers to lose radar and communications. The FAA issued a ground stop for those airports.
Flights are overseas. There have been scenes of chaos at airports across Europe in the wake of a major cyber attack. Thousands of travellers were left stranded when check-in and baggage systems went down. The attack affected London's Heathrow Airport as well as others in Dublin, Brussels and Berlin. At this stage, it's not known who's behind it. Overseas,
major airports across Europe just got hit hard with a cyber attack, and passengers right now are starting to feel it. We're talking about flights from Brussels, Berlin, London, all hit with major delays and cancellations after the Collins Aerospace, the company behind the check-in and boarding system, said it suffered a cyber attack. This said cyber attack led to an outage in which anyone who uses this system was unable to check people onto planes. The company right now is insisting that this impact is limited only to checking in and bag drop-off. And airports are now having to go back to old school ways, which is paper and pen to check people in. But the bigger problem here is the fact that we don't know the source of said attack. And as you may know, over the past few years, we have seen Russians get into certain systems to disrupt many different areas. So the grand question is what's happening right now just a major glitch, or is it something that the Russians put together to disrupt travel across Europe? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'll be sure to keep you updated.
Shalom. Before I begin, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the Great Millstone who will rule and teach well. Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, Barakatham. Peace and blessings, salutations to you, sincere Akim, pushing this gospel to the four corners of the earth, laboring in its truth in all diligence, righteousness, and sincerity. And to the few Akwat listening and learning as well, to you I say Shalom. So it's the brother Azariah back with another lesson in the spirit. And we're coming up upon a very dangerous time in this earth's history, all right? And pursuing the prophecy, there's a lot going on, you know, that a lot of people are not aware of, see? And you had these airports over there in, you know, Western Asia, right, which they fraudulently call Europe, and also the same happening here in America as well. And we've already had the likes of Klaus Schwab and, you know, Yuval Harari and many other different individuals come out and say that one day there will be a massive cyber attack that is going to block out the grid. And I myself and other brothers have done multiple lessons on the same very thing throughout the year. One thing that you've noticed is that since the year started, these cyber attacks have ramped up. You know, like these things have started becoming more common. All right. And that's not for no reason. That's not a coincidence. See, these devils are getting ready to pretty much pull the plug on this system, man. All right. Because you see, they're ushering in this new digital system. And as you heard this guy say, that now they having to go back to more old school forms of checking people in and stuff like that, pen and paper. And you know, that's really to frustrate people, you know, and make them want this new system, which they're going to bring in, which is going to be all digital, okay, which you're going to have a digital ID. You know, you're going to have a biometric identifier, you know, to go through these airports and travel and things of that nature. Pretty much they trying to make things so difficult to where, you know, you cry out for their solution, which is ultimately going to end in surveillance underneath the skin in the form of the MOTB, the micro C-hip. Right, this is where all of this is going. So every day we see news come out. All of this is incrementally inching you towards the rollout of the MOTB. But before they do that, there is going to be a catastrophic event that's going to shake things up, and it's going to hard reset the system in which they're going to be justified in bringing in these new measures. Okay, so as it says in 2 Corinthians 2:11, we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. Okay, so we well see where Esau is going with this. Also, you have whistleblowers of many have came out over the years and told you of this same exact very thing. So in these times, it's very important to keep your mind occupied in prophecy, pay attention to what's going on, because if you're not paying attention to what's going on and you're in the dark, you know, these things are going to come upon you all of a sudden and overtake you and induce you to fear, induce you to doubt and worry. But, you know, being in the spirit of Yahweh Bashmel Shai, we well know what time it is and we well know what's going on. All right. And another thing was that this guy mentioned Russia as being the cause of these outages. Right now, I don't believe that Russia really has any interest to play with the grid of Western nations at all. See, it's these things are really coming from the elites. All right, it's coming down from the elites, and they're the ones that have the power to hack into these systems and do these ransomware attacks that you've been seeing happen all over the place. And there's a lot more cyber attacks going on that don't even make the news, man. You know, I remember like last month there was an outage that happened in the whole state of Nevada with the MVA, to where people's information was compromised and all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't just there, it was multiple states. All right, but these things, there's a media blackout, so you're not going to see a lot of these reports come on the mainstream media. I mean, if you really want to find it, you got to dig for it. You know, that's the time that we're in, you know. So going to the articles here, all right. European airports snarled by cyber attack, disruption to stretch into Sunday. And another thing I got to mention as well is that they're actively shutting down travel. You know, these devils are actively shutting down people's access to move freely. Okay, they're also looking to do away with passports. You know what I'm saying? Basically implementing laws behind the scenes to where if you want to go anywhere, you're going to have a digital ID. And the call for that to implement these measures is because of all these, black swan, all these violence, this been taking place, people getting, shot up. I saw 2 articles today where there was there was a mass shooting in like 3 different places, man. So these devils are really turning up the pressure, and we're in that era of, shock events, as they say. It's going to usher in this new system. All right. So these devils are truly embodying that order ab chaos mantra. All right. But yeah, they are looking to take away, passports, looking to make things more difficult for people to travel. And just like how it was when they mandated to have a real ID back in May, you see, if you didn't opt in to get the real ID, then they basically made it so tedious, so hard for you just to get on the flight that they basically cause you. You know what I'm saying? They ain't force you, but they cause you. All right. They just made it so hard to get on the flight the regular way, to where it's like, all right, you know what? I ain't got time for this. Let me just go sign up and get the real ID. See? So now that's the standard. Well, it's going to be the same thing with this if you want to travel. All right, especially out the country, because they these devils understand that seeing where America is going, a lot of people are fleeing. A lot of people are getting out of America. That's pretty much the new wave right now, where people are looking to get away from this place, man, because they see that there's nothing good to come. All right. So people are catching flights, whether it be to, Europe, or whether it be to, Far Eastern nations or whatever, thinking that they're going to escape the destruction, you see, but it's it's not going to work, man. All right. And those that are going to be trapped inside of America, if you ain't got your Bashim Yahushua with you, then you cooked any damn way. All right. So right here, it says a cyber attack at a provider of check-in and boarding systems disrupted operations on Saturday at several major European airports, including London's Heathrow. The continent's busiest, causing flight delays and cancellations. The disruption is the latest in a string of hacks targeting governments and companies across the world. See? So this is a worldwide hit that's taking place, man. All right. And again, this is all coming down from the elites, you see, because as you just saw where, Trump was, he was in London with all them elite Edomites. You know what I'm saying? They were sitting at that big ass long round table. All right. What you know what I'm saying? What do you think they were all there for? They were all there to, pretty much conspire to and bless their agenda that they're about to bring forth, which they're pretty much in the final stage where they're really about to bring in this beast system. You know what I'm saying? So that's why all of them was over there, and they was saying what they were saying. You know what I'm saying? Because they're about to so-called crown their enterprise, right? But little do they know that the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai is about to disappoint these devils just when they think they're about to fill their belly. All right. Yeah, so this happened across the world, hitting sectors from healthcare and defense to retail and autos. A recent breach at luxury car maker Jaguar Land Rover brought its production to a halt. Okay, so not only airports, you got hospitals going under, you got car dealerships that's getting hit, different things of that nature, trains and stuff like that. Okay, so this is a whole grid attack, man. All right, the whole grid is being attacked. And remember, back in April this year, it was Portugal and Spain. They got hit with massive cyber attacks. After that, the UK got hit, and some other EU nations. You see, so they've been testing things for a little while, man, and they're just about ready. And I can see this thing happening within the next few months. But they're just about ready to go completely lights out. You see, and what's gonna happen from that? Chaos, anarchy, a whole lot of death. And there's going to be a call to implement a change to bring order to the chaos that these devils are going to cause. Saturday's problems were centered on Muse software made by Collins Aerospace, which provides systems for several airlines at airports globally. RTX Collins Aerospace parent company said it was aware of a cyber-related disruption to the software at selected airports without naming them. Heathrow Airport said it was among those affected. Brussels Airport and Berlin Airport were also affected, they said separately. Hours later, Dublin Airport said it was also facing minor impact from the issue, along with Cork Airport, Ireland's second biggest after Dublin. Okay, so the electronic check-in was impacted, blah, blah, blah. You pretty much get the point. That's the name of the article right there. If you want to check it out on your own time. Also, I got this as well. It says, developing massive air traffic equipment outage brings travel to near standstill across the U.S. Okay, so it says here, both major airports in Dallas Fort Worth International and Dallas Love Field, were forced to halt all flight operations on Friday afternoon due to a massive equipment outage affecting radar, radio, and approach systems. The disruption, which began around 1:58 p.m. CT, has cascaded into delays and ground stops at more than 20 air traffic control centers across the United States, snarling air travel for thousands of passengers are and underscoring the vulnerabilities in America's air traffic management infrastructure. The FAA quickly acknowledged the issue, attributing it to a problem at the Dallas Terminal Radar, which oversees arrival and departures for both airports. So yeah, you get the point, man. These things are being affected, and very soon you ain't gonna be able to go nowhere. Okay, because they want to have everybody locked into these cities. You know what I'm saying? They want to have everybody shut down and control your freedom of movement. See? So we coming into some very dangerous times, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, these devils are about to come down with great wrath. Okay, let's get Psalm 37. This is the book of Psalms 37, and it says, security of those who trust in the Lord and insecurity of the wicked. Start at the top, Psalm 37:1. A psalm of David, fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. And that's these elite Edomites, man. Okay, they are the ones that are forging these iniquities. They are the ones making the earth a living hell, because ultimately that's their desire. Pursuant to Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter and verse 5. Okay, Job 9:24. The earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Okay, and that's Esau, Edom, so-called white man. Okay, he is currently in the seat of rulership, and you saw that once again at that London, I guess you call it a banquet, that London banquet where, King Charles and Trump and all these other Edomites, were all up in there, what I'm saying, just lavish, man. All right, you saw who the heads of the world are, okay? And it was all right there in that room, right? Verse 3, trust in the Lord and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Verse 7 is the point. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. Right? And once again, the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass is Esau, Edom. Okay? He's the one playing with the grid. He's the one producing all these cyber attacks. He's the one that's killing off the farmers, killing off the global trade. These are all of his wicked devices, man. See? And I quoted it earlier. You can get it. 2 Corinthians, 2nd chapter, and verse 11, it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, right? And we see the devices of Satan. We see the devices of the devil. And we're not taken, we're not deceived by these things, because we already know what he got going on. And see, this is why it's important to know who your enemy is, man. This is why it's important to know who you're dealing with, because if you walking around in this world thinking that the so-called white man is your friend and he's here to do well by you, but he's just misguided. Oh, let's pray for him. No. Okay, you can't pray for the devil, man, because his allotment is already going to be slavery and ultimately destruction. All right, so you got to know who your enemy is, and you got to study how he moves. Just like how Esau studies how we move, we do the same thing. Okay, but in righteousness. All right, so we don't get caught off guard by what this man is bringing forth. As the old saying goes, knowing is half the battle. Okay, so if you know, then you can apply yourself accordingly and set yourself up to not be taken by surprise, right? So, in the spirit, that's what we, aim to do, all right? When you go to 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, all right? 2nd Ezra 15, and let's start at 14. It says, woe to the world. Okay, woe goes into destruction, and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. 16, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another they shall not regard their kings nor princes. Salakia. Yeah, so as the scriptures say, man, it's going to be sedition among men. Okay, and we're seeing that happen all over the world right now. All these nations are in an uproar. They're uprising. They're protesting because of what? because of these wicked policies. Basically, the NWO is coming down in these nations, man. So the leaders, they're implementing these unrighteous decrees in which the people did not ask for. All right, so that's why you see that the world is in an uproar. You know what I'm saying? People are protesting. They're rising up against their elites. They're rising up against their governments because it's now been realized that they've been sold out, okay, by the WEF and these other, elite Edomite agencies, man. Okay, they've overtaken these countries. And the same thing is happening here in America now. They're pretty much begging, calling for a civil war because these American Edomites, you know what I'm saying, they're starting to realize now that Trump was never for their benefit, pretty much that they're being, screwed over, you know what I'm saying, by their own people, man. So there's a serious cause for sedition and uprisings, okay? And these things are going to happen because the scriptures speak of it, okay? And when these devils, shut down the freedom of movement, freedom of travel, freedom to communicate, and things of that nature, that's when they're going to come in and they're going to deal harshly, okay? As the scriptures say. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. Yeah, so that, you know what I'm saying, people in these different countries, they not listening to their president or their prime minister or the governor or the mayor or whoever, you know what I'm saying, because they understand these individuals are corrupt and that they don't have their best interests. So as it says, that the course of their actions shall stand in their power. That's why people are now taking matters into their own hands and taking up justice for themselves. Okay, and this also adds to the calamity that's going to happen in these last days, to where you're going to have all kind of wars going on. Okay, our Lord Yahweh Shah told us that, it would be nation rising up against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Okay, so we're getting ready to enter into a world war scenario, you see, in which it's going to be mass death, mass casualties, and you have a lot of individuals in these last days having dreams about that. Putting it on the internet for the world to see, man, showing you that, as is written that in Joel, I believe the 2nd chapter, that the Lord said he would pour out his spirit upon all flesh in the last days. So people, are coming out and they're sharing their visions and their dreams and they're prophesying of what is to come. All right. And you have the prophets on the scene that are able to, take these testimonies and plug it back into the scriptures, man, because a lot of these people, they don't even necessarily understand that these things are written of in the scriptures, okay? But they are going to happen. It says in verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. See that? So it says a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why? Because travel is going to be shut down. All right. You ain't going to be able to fly nowhere. You ain't going to be able to drive nowhere. All right. Just like how now, if you want to drive into another state, there's no restriction. As long as you got some wheels that function and you can pay the toll or whatever, or you have the ability to drive, there's nothing stopping you. Okay. But the time we coming into, it's going to be checkpoints set up because all this violence that's going to be happening in America, which again is being caused by these devils. Okay, it's going to be checkpoints set up. You're going to have to identify yourself, and ultimately you're going to have to take that microchip in order to get clearance to go into these certain cities or travel at all, if you're permitted. Okay, that also goes into the 15-minute cities in which you're going to be confined, to an area where everything that you need is going to be within 15 minutes of you, okay? So we see what's coming down, and this is why, again, we can't stress it enough, man, to be especially vigilant in these times, man, because the devil is working, all right? And if you don't know what's going on, you're going to get taken off guard, taken by surprise, and ultimately that's going to lead to your own destruction, you know what I'm saying? So take heed to the warning. Continue to watch these things because things are picking up by the day, man. All right, and Esau coming with it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out, Lord willing. This lesson was edifying through the Rakah Kadash. Call the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Rakah Kadash. And until next time, Lord willing, shalom to the elect. Call Rasha Allah. Wa Baba Ba. On to the next one. Shalom.